Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation to this important and timely meeting. I am honored to be amongst you. The forum comes at a critical time in our modern history. Progress has been breathtaking. Innovation has been accelerating, and ambition knew no bounds. We could count on people living better lives, security, opportunity, progress, and above all, hope. Increasingly, though, we are realizing that our global progress has been fragile. Our global progress has been uneven, and our global progress has left many behind. 3 billion people, mostly children, live in abject poverty. 750 million people don't have clean drinking water. Almost 800 million people, most of them women, are illiterate. More than 200 million young people are out of work. More than 60 million people have been displaced by war and conflict. These problems cannot and should not be addressed by a single nation. They should be addressed by a union of nations working towards a shared future. But surely there is hope. Through leadership, partnership, cooperation, and goodwill, there is no other way. Distinguished guests, I would like to speak about the experience of my country, Jordan, a small, resource-poor country in a region being torn apart by conflict. But the secret to Jordan's success was never derived from its size or mineral wealth. Its secret is its people's kindness, their sincerity, their awareness, their hospitality, and their enterprise. Its secret is its Hashemite leadership, popular participation, and good governance. Its secret as much within its people as it is in its mountains, fields, and deserts, in its rock and sand and soil. Upon his accession to the throne in 1999, His Majesty King Abdullah II realized that the underlying social tensions that defined Jordan's political history for over 5 decades must be reconciled and dealt with during his reign. His early speeches clearly show his commitment from the outset to political reform. One of his first decisions was to abolish the Ministry of Information and to introduce in 2003 a separate new ministry for political development. He spoke on many occasions about the need for a number of political parties to emerge and to represent different political views, whether left, center, or right. In 2003, he introduced a quota for women in parliament, and in 2005, he established a royal commission that included 20 members representing all political currents, including the Islamic Action Front, that is the political party for the Muslim Brotherhood, to produce a national agenda for Jordan's social, political, and economic development. Not lacking in wisdom or far-sightedness, the king initially concentrated on achieving economic development and growth, and embarked upon a process of reform of the economy, of education, and the judiciary. His strategy was built on the assumption that a more developed, prosperous economy, sustained by better education and the rule of law, and offering more opportunities for youth, would make it easier for him to tackle the intricate social and political issues. In fact, the economic results of these efforts were quite positive. Real economic growth has averaged 5% since 1999. And per capita output has averaged a growth of 7.6% per year. Real per capita income is up more than 60% over the last 15 years, joining the World Trade Organization, signing a free trade agreement with the United States, entering into an association agreement with the European Union, amongst other trade deals, has helped exports grow by about 5 times since 1999. Foreign currency reserves have increased by an average of 16% per year over the last decade and a half, which, along with prudent fiscal and monetary policies, have allowed the country to maintain a stable, predictable, and robust macroeconomic environment. Tourist numbers increased from about 2.5 million visitors in 2002 to more than 7 million in 2008, though this has moderated to about 4 million last year due to regional instability. Revenue from tourism increased from about $700 million in the year 2000 to almost $4.5 billion in 2014. Revenues of our tech and pharmaceutical industries, both regional leaders, increased by about 10 times and 2.5 times respectively in the last 15 years. Meanwhile, Jordan continued to invest heavily in upgrading its infrastructure and, more importantly, its human capital. We have one of the most highly educated populations in the region, have almost eradicated illiteracy, and continue investing in our educational system. At the same time, political reform, which, as I mentioned, started in 1999, has been accelerated over the last 5 years with major achievements, including putting further checks on the power of the executive branch, establishing a constitutional court, establishing an independent election commission, and significantly introducing new laws regulating political life and strengthening freedoms and individual rights. Most importantly, His Majesty the King, in a series of discussion papers, clearly outlined his vision for parliamentary democracy and for an effective separation of powers. Just recently, our parliament passed a new election law, a critical step in our progress and democratization process. The law further encourages the formation of strong program-based political parties to run on clear platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan is trying to forge ahead with reform, development, and progress despite the conflicts of the Middle East, despite the instability, despite the unprecedented human suffering. Still, we should not underestimate the impact of the regional dimension on the prospects of reform in Jordan. The conflict and deep changes across the region, particularly in Syria and Iraq, Historically, Jordan's two main regional trading partners have made the Middle East future seem bleaker than ever. These wars, in addition to the stalemate in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, have put immense pressure on Jordan. The emergence of the ISIS and its control of vast regions in Syria and Iraq have exacerbated the security risks for Jordan and drawn the country into military campaign to defeat the terror group. In fact, Jordan views the war against ISIS as an ideological one within Islam and clearly sees the potential threat that ISIS poses for global security. The wars in the region have led to unprecedented massive human dislocations, and Jordan epitomizes the political economic challenges that one country's conflict can impose on its neighbor. The country is now hosting 1.3 million refugees who fled the brutal 5-year civil war that is consuming Syria. And they're not cheap. The cost of the refugees is roughly 2.9 billion, 8% of Jordan's GDP, according to the government, of which only 5.5% has been covered, unfortunately, by the international community. The influx has placed immense strains on public services. More than 150,000 Syrian children have been enrolled in Jordan's already crowded public schools, and housing costs in the north have risen by a staggering 300%, according to the government. And with the arrival of more than 200,000 Syrian laborers, around 10% of Jordan's workforce, who are willing to work at below market wages, there are mounting pressures on the labor market. However, and notwithstanding all of these important constraints, it is clear that no other factor has more bearing on domestic developments in Jordan than the Palestine issue. There is hardly a day that passes by when Jordan is not reminded that the central cause of instability in the region is the Palestinian issue. No other country is as tied politically, socially, demographically, historically, and geographically to the Palestinians, and no other country's political dynamics are as adversely affected by their ongoing predicament. The lack of progress on establishing a two-state solution and the immeasurable human suffering in Palestinian territories continues to weigh heavily on Jordan, including on the fate of the more than 1.8 million registered Palestinian refugees in Jordan. Ladies and gentlemen, despite all of these regional challenges, Jordan succeeded in its political reform. A Jordanian model, if you will, of proactive measures designed to improve governance and promote freedoms, accountability, and the rule of law. Despite the challenges, we have not forgotten that we also have a moral, religious, and historic responsibility towards our fellow man. This is our tradition. We opened our doors to about 1.5 million Syrian refugees. That's 20% of Jordanians. Make no mistake, we take our responsibility to offer refuge seriously. Yet the international community has not done enough, not nearly enough. It surely has a much bigger role. The international community should not test the limits of Jordanians' hospitality. This is certainly a global problem, and it requires nothing less than a global response. Friends, many people wonder about Jordan's resilience. How can such a small country with little mineral resources, living in the world's toughest neighborhood, be a peaceful, secure, and ever-progressing nation? My answer is faith. Faith in God's mercy, faith in our King's vision, and faith in the decency, ingenuity, and determination of our people. The country's resilience, underpinned by its continuing political stability and the King's strong leadership and determination to navigate the challenges, will ensure that reform will evolve in the coming years. Its pace, however, will be determined by our ability to grasp the lessons of democracy and parliamentary governments, by the growth prospects of the Jordanian economy in the short and medium terms, and also by the direction of regional developments, particularly with regard to the Palestinian issue. Indeed, Jordan's success in its reform model can be emulated by others in our region, facing many of our common challenges. We all have young populations where 70% of our people are under the age of 27. They are all connected to the world around them and have legitimate aspirations that must be addressed and fulfilled by us. They dream of a world safer than ours and with better opportunities. Only through sustainable models of governance, economic growth, and participatory politics can we succeed in ensuring a future for them. Friends, in short, you can always count on Jordan. I invite you all to come and visit with us, whether to look for the many wonders of history and nature, to look for investment opportunities, or to look for friends. I am sure that you will like our country, a country that is confidently looking towards the future despite the sad memories of the past, and the present challenges of war and conflict, you will see a bright ray of hope illuminating a path of peace and progress. Thank you again for the opportunity to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, if you don't mind, can you remind maybe here in the podium, because before the panel discussion, because I think
Okay.
there is a panel discussion, I would like to open the floor for some questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Recently, I was in Jordan, and I really liked, the floating water in Dead Sea. So my question is that what is the secret behind a stable country in terms of security for Jordan? Because Jordan is located in an area where it is surrounded by, a lot of crisis in surrounding countries like Yemen, Syria, Israel, and Palestine. And then the second question is, what is the main source of income for Jordan? Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said in my speech, Jordan is a secure and safe country, and this is due to many factors. First of all, our Hashemite rule, our king. Our king is very popular in Jordan. He is very much in contact with his people. The rule is legitimate, and above all, Jordan has a strong army. The army can defend our borders, and we have very strong also security organizations to defend Jordan internally. As the Jordanian people also, they understand we have many economic difficulties, okay, but they understand that what is more important than economics is politics, and that a safe country, when you have a safe country, then when you live in peace, I mean, it's much better. They can bear the economic burdens during this period of time. We hope that the economy will improve, and we have more economic growth, and the economy will become much better, and the standard of living with the Jordanian people will improve. So this is the secret of Jordan. We have a very strong king who is loved by his people, and as I said before, the army is defending our border, and the security organizations, they are defending Jordan internally. Thank you very much. And you asked me about the sources of income. Unfortunately, we don't have oil, but our main capital is the human factor, I mean, because the Jordanians, many of the Jordanians, about 750,000 Jordanians, they work outside in the Gulf states, and they transfer annually $3.5 billion. So this is one of the main sources of income. Thank you very much.
Yep. I have the next question, what is regarding your political activities in domestic politics. I would like to ask you if you can say us something more about your domestic strategy.
About?
Domestic strategy, your national strategy, Jordan's national strategy, regarding if you, in your strategy, prefer hard power resources or the soft power resources, because you tell us many factors or elements of Jordan's politics.
Could you repeat the question, please?
What are you focusing on in your national strategy? If it's like focusing on military perspective, like hard power, or much more to soft power, like education, healthcare. You mentioned lots of other elements. Thank you.
Our national strategy, first politically, is to keep the country safe and sound, okay? Now, economically, we have many economic problems, unfortunately. because of what's going on in the area. But we are investing in education, in infrastructure. We are also investing in health, in the health sector. Jordan is the first country in medical achievements in the Middle East, because we receive many people from other Arab countries. They come for treatment in Jordanian hospitals. So the pharmaceutical industry also is very advanced in Jordan. So we are investing in many economic spheres, okay, and to improve the standard of living of the Jordanian people. Okay. Also, tourism is another source of income, but unfortunately, because of what's going on in the area now, regional conflicts, the number of tourists have gone down, unfortunately. But we are trying to now the tourism fair now, going on now, to attract more tourists to come and visit Jordan. And I hope you will come and visit Jordan also.
Thank you for the nice presentation. My name is Edson. I'm from Tanzania. First of all, I would like to thank the King of Jordan for the initiative he has been applying on the war against terrorism. I'm sure you are aware that he arranged the Aqaba 1 meeting where he invited the head of the state from East Africa and from the Western country to discuss strategies toward terrorism. And also, I would like to appreciate the de-radicalization strategy toward extremism, because the King of Jordan has been one of the government leader who have been propagating this strategy. And second, I would like to know how did Jordan manage to escape from the Arab Spring, because most of the Arab country, particularly which land by the kingship system, have been affected a lot with the Arab Spring. And also, I would like to know the Middle East, your point of view on the Middle East crisis, particularly Israel-Palestine crisis. Israel is your neighbor. You have a big border with Israel. How did your country manage to overcome the conflict? Because when I was growing up, I used to have a lot of crisis between Israel and Jordan, but now I don't have much. So I'd like to know, how did you manage it? And also, it's about the solution toward the Israeli-Palestine conflict. As far as I know, the leader, the King of Jordan, the leader of the Israel and the Palestine, sometimes they used to have understanding each other. But when it comes down to the people, individual, it's always difficult. And now it's look like the society, the public, are influential to the leader, and the leader are not influential to the society. So whatever the conclusion they have in the meeting, but the people in the society doesn't accept it, and it becomes like a cycle of the conflict. The conflict doesn't end. So I want to hear your opinion on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As for the Arab Spring, in Jordan, Jordan has been different from many other Arab countries because we don't have a dictatorship in Jordan. The king is very popular. There is consensus on the Hashemite throne. And during the Arab Spring, there were thousands of demonstrations in Jordan, and nobody was ever killed. No one single drop of blood has been spilled, because the king knew how to tackle this problem. He knew how to deal with his people. He was in direct contact with his people. This is why we have overcome the Arab Spring. And because the king has introduced many political reforms before and during and after the Arab Spring. And this is the secret of Jordan, you know, the king and the people. The people, they are supporting the regime, and the regime is always in direct contact with the people. And that's our secret. The fight against terror, of course, we are the spearhead in Jordan. Jordan is the spearhead against the fight, as far as the fight against terror is concerned. So the king is actually the key player in the area, in this sphere. As for the Arab-Israeli conflict, of course, it's due to the intransigence, unfortunately, of the Israelis. No solution can be found for the Arab-Israeli conflict. But I think a two-state solution is the only solution, because you have two peoples living on the same land. If they don't come to an agreement, there will never be peace in the Middle East. Unfortunately, the Jews are always talking about historical rights in the occupied land. And if you want to talk about historical rights, we can also talk about historical rights as Arabs, because the Arabs say that all of Palestine belongs to the Arab. And then the Jews are saying all of Palestine belongs to the Jew. And this is not, you cannot find a solution if you think in this, historically, I mean. So two peoples are living on the same land, they have to come to an agreement. A two-state solution is the only solution. When the Palestinian people are giving their rightful, or their rights, okay, then you can talk about peace. Otherwise, but unfortunately, with the Netanyahu as the prime minister now, it's very difficult because he is refusing the two-state solution. He's refusing to give up the occupied lands. So how are you going to come to an agreement if you're not going to withdraw from the land occupied in 1967? So the only solution is the state within the 1967 border, living alongside Israel. And then if this goal is achieved, then you can have peace with other Arab countries. And that's the only solution. Thank you very much.
More questions? Yes?
Mr. President, thank you for giving us the opportunity to listen to you today and for the great insight into the country of Jordan. I'm Samuel. I grew up in Kenya, and I'm Austrian. I just have a question. You talked about now a lot about Jordan itself, and you mentioned that 8% of the GDP of Jordan is put into the refugee
yes.
Funding, and that just 5% are internationally supported. That's a great burden for the country, I think. Don't you think that Jordan has the right or to demand more from the international community, especially now from Europe and the European Union, since the European Union is dealing with problems here? And what is Jordan doing to demand more, or do you think you're doing enough? And what would be the strategy to ask for more?
Unfortunately, the international community is not shouldering the responsibilities because it is a heavy burden on Jordan. And a conference was held, I think 2-3 weeks ago in London to support Jordan. And His Majesty gave a speech there. We need more money, of course, because Jordan is not an oil country. We don't produce oil. So there is a heavy burden on all sectors of the economy, on education, on health. As I said in my speech, the Syrians now are working and they are competing with Jordanians on jobs. So we need more money from the international community, of course. But what we need is also investment, because the unemployment problem in Jordan is really a very big problem. And we need to find work for the youth, because otherwise the youth, poverty always leads these youth to join ISIS and the other extremist groups, because when you are frustrated and you don't have a job, then maybe they can affect you, with their ideology. So we need more money, of course, and we need investment in Jordan. Thank you very much.
The next question, please, Kathy.
Hello, thank you for being here today. I just wanted to ask, you've been talking about foreign investment, right? I wanted to ask if Jordan is making any new rules or something to attract foreign investment?
Of course, we are trying, but as I said before, that with this London conference, we hope that more investment will come. People come and invest in Jordan because it's a safe and secure country. But the problem is that, for example, the Europeans or the Americans, when they look at they don't look at Jordan as a country, they look at it from a regional perspective. And so we have to promote Jordan more. Because if you look now at the Middle East, you have problems in Syria, in Iraq, in Libya, in Egypt, and everywhere, except Jordan. So you don't have to look, as I said, to Jordan from a regional perspective, but you have to look at Jordan as Jordan. So we are promoting Jordan. His Majesty is always promoting Jordan. And we hope with this, with the London conference, we hope that more investment will come. Because if you don't attract investment, I think you cannot solve the problem of unemployment. Because Jordan is a small country. The Jordan market is small. So because we have a trade agreement with the United States, we have a trade agreement also with Canada now. So Jordan can be a hub. People can come invest in Jordan and they can export to the United States and to the other countries. Even with the European Union now, they're giving also maybe, not a trade agreement, I mean, but I mean to open the European markets for Jordanian exports. So we hope that we will bring more investment in and the economy will improve.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Another thank you for being here and great presentation. I'm Arbenita from Kosovo, and I'm really wondering about the Jordan. What about the participation of foreigners in labor market, in Jordan, I mean? And what about the participation or the percentage?
You mean foreigners working in Jordan?
Yes.
Oh.
And what about the percentage of foreigners working in Jordan? I mean, is it really intercultural community? And what about the participation of them in Jordan?
Political participation, you mean?
No, it doesn't mean in general as a society, but mostly focused in economic perspective, in the sector of economy, tourism, etc. Because as far as I know, mostly political sector based on the legal framework, it is organized only by the people who are from Jordan, and it is not much more shared for foreigners, right?
Can you repeat this, please?
I mean, according to your legal framework of Jordan and also neighboring countries, in public sector, mostly are frequented by native people, not for foreigners.
Yeah, public sector, yes.
Yes, but I mean, what is the percentage of participation of foreigners in economic activities, in tourism, in industry, etc.? Thank you.
Of course, only Jordanians work in public sector, but we have about 1 million foreigners working in the agricultural sector, construction. So the Jordanians, they don't like to work in these sectors, of course. But in Pakistanis, for example, also they work in the agricultural sector. So we have about 1 million foreign workers in Jordan. This is, people say why, for example, there is unemployment, for example, in Jordan, and you have all these work opportunities. But because you have unemployment in many economic sectors, like the health sector. We have doctors graduating from universities, but they don't find jobs. Or teachers, for example, there is a demand for teachers in this sector. But the Jordanians, they don't work in the agricultural sector and the construction sector. This is where the foreign workers work, in these sectors. Did I answer the question? Okay.
Thank you, His Excellency. My name is Dawood from Afghanistan. All of we know that the civil war in Syria has come to its 4 years, and still there is war. What is the role of Jordan for resolving the conflict inside the Syria?
Of course, the king is playing a major role in this, and Jordan as a whole. But this is a regional conflict, and all the countries should be involved in finding a solution. Now, for example, a conference will be held next week in Geneva to find a solution for the Syrian crisis. But unfortunately, there are many players there, because as His Majesty has said, there is a world war going on in Syria. The Russians, the Iranians, the Turks, the Qataris, the Saudis, all are playing a role in Syria, unfortunately. So if you want to find a solution, you should bring all these parties together to find a solution. But I hope that in Geneva they will find a solution. What you need now is a transitional period in Syria. Now there is a truce. I hope it will not, the truce, if the truce will, hold, okay, for maybe 6 months, 7 months, I don't know. And during this time, you find a political solution. I think there is hope. But the situation in Syria is really very complicated. It's very complicated. There are too many players. We hope that these players will come to an agreement and find a solution, a political solution for the Syrian problem. Because a military solution, you cannot solve the Syrian crisis militarily. So I think the only solution is a political solution. And we hope in Geneva next week there will be progress. We hope so.
Just a second, please, to take another microphone.
Sorry. And what's your Jordanian stand for future rule of Bashar al-Assad in the government?
Bashar al-Assad will leave sooner or later because his term as president will end in April 2017. So during this period, I think what we should concentrate on is to fight, if the truce holds, to fight Daesh and other extremist groups and to get rid of them. But Bashar al-Assad, I think, eventually will leave sooner or later. I don't think he will be the next president of Syria next year. They will find, I think, an alternative to Bashar al-Assad for a transitional period. And after the transitional period, you can have elections, and then they will opt either for a parliamentary system or a presidential system of government. And this is up to the Syrian people, of course.
Thank you very much.
I would like to ask you, you mentioned that your opinion is that maybe soon Bashar Assad is not going to be a president of Syria anymore. You know that this meeting in Geneva is not the first attempt for international leaders to find actually diplomatic solution. And you believe that soon, again, with this type of tools, these meetings in Geneva, somehow the international leaders will succeed to influence Bashar Assad to leave his presidency?
You see, I think now there is a cooperation between the United States and Russia. And they want, I think now, there is an effort to, find a solution for the Syrian crisis. Now, the truce is holding, okay? And this is a very good step forward. Now, if the truce holds, and then the Americans and the Russians will come to an agreement to solve the Syrian problem, then it will be solved. Because the two main players are the Americans and the Russians. So I think now, of course, there were many conferences before, but I think this conference will be the most important because now the Russians and the Americans are coming together to find a solution. And as I have said before, if the truce will hold, then you fight Daesh and the other extremist groups, the ISIS and the other extremist groups. If you get rid of them, then the possibilities of having a solution will be much better. And I don't think the Russians or the Iranians will bet on Bashar al-Assad anymore because they know that he will not be able to govern Syria in the future. This is my point of view. I don't know, but I think this is the case. He will not be the next president of the Syrian Republic. I think they will find an alternative.
Thank you. This is very important yet to know your opinion as a person with your experience in the politics and diplomatic experience also from this region. And this is really very, for me, this is a big hope now. I really start to think that the only one possibility is finally the Security Council of United Nations, this five countries, to sit and find a political solution. And from your point of view, now I really feel hope about that.
We hope so. You know, it is very complicated, the Syrian situation. I don't think there will be peace in Syria for another 3-4 years, unfortunately. But I think you have to go step by step to finding a solution. I think the prospects now are good. We hope also that you will find a solution also in Iraq, in Libya, because all the area is in turmoil, unfortunately. But step by step, we hope that we can find a solution. Unfortunately, the Arab Spring was not a spring at all, unfortunately. But we hope that the things will improve in the Arab world in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Much too. I would like to really to invite you to have your questions, because after that we will continue actually with again with the discussion. But if you
we have time for question because Martin needs 3 minutes more.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
no, it's not me.
Hello. My name is Elmira and I'm from Ukraine, and I wanted to ask you, we mentioned today already relations with Israel, and we know that in '94 Jordan signed the peace agreement with Israel, and it was one of first Arab states which established peace relations and trade relations with Israel. Do you think it's possible for other neighbors of Israel to continue this? And do you think that since 1994, relations between Jordan and Israel have changed in a better or worse way? Thank you.
This is true. In 1994, we did sign a peace treaty with Israel. But unfortunately, with Israeli policies in the occupied territories, peace really has not been achieved between the peoples. Okay, maybe as governments, okay, we can communicate, and there is an Israeli ambassador in Amman, and we have a Jordanian ambassador in Israel. But unfortunately for the Jordanian people, this is not the case. There is too much anti-Jewish, let's say, feelings within Jordan from the people of Jordan. The same with the other Arab people. If the Israelis, they will not change their policies towards the Palestinians, and if they will not accept a two-state solution, I don't think there will be real peace. Of course, we have a treaty, but it's not real peace, because peace is amongst peoples and not amongst governments. And this is the real problem. The intransigence of the Israeli government, the policies of Netanyahu, are not leading to any hope for the future, unfortunately. They have, because you have two peoples, as I have said before, you have two peoples living on the same land. There should be a compromise. There should be an agreement, and a two-state solution is the only solution, a state, a Palestinian state within the 1967 border, but a state with full sovereignty, okay? And that's the only solution I think about. Thank you very much.